Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to work on another fun block in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. In today's video we're going to work on this block right here, which is potion bottle number 3. So go ahead and grab your plastic pouch or bag system that you've labeled potion bottle number 3, and let's head over to the machine and let's get started stitching. Okay, we're at the machine and we're ready to start working on the first part of potion bottle number 3. So I put a bobbin with black thread down below and black thread up on top. And the reason I've done that is I'm going to be stitching out the text of Fresh Spider Cider in black. So I can basically do the whole project, or this first part of the project anyway, with black thread up on top. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. If you're going to stitch out your text in a different color, then put that up on top and put a bobbin with matching thread down below. Okay, I've got my 5x7 hoop loaded with a piece of the water soluble stabilizer. This stabilizer will dissolve when we're all done with the project, and there won't be anything left on the back of the clear vinyl. So make sure this is wash away stabilizer or water soluble stabilizer. Okay, so let's go to the screen cam and load the design. Okay, I have a Baby Lock Destiny, which is identical to the Brother Dream machine. If you have something similar, you can follow along. I'm going to go to Embroidery, going to go to my flash drive, going to go to Pumpkins and Potions, and I'm going to look for the potion bottle top that says Fresh Spider Cider. It's not actually one of the bottles, it's the top label for the bottle, and this is the one that we want. Ew, there's a spider at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to click set. Luckily the spider is made of thread. Okay, so there's nothing else I need to do. I'm going to click Embroidery. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to the hoop cam. And I'm going to put my foot down and stitch out the placement line for the clear vinyl. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take a piece of clear vinyl from my embellishment kit and I'm going to lay this down. Okay. Okay, and whoops. Once I get it into place, just inside those stitch lines, I'm going to get a piece of my embroidery tape here, and I'm going to, without hitting the camera, I'm going to put this down and tape it into place. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the left side. I don't have to worry about the right or the bottom because I got extra plastic vinyl over here. So I only need to hold down those two corners with tape, and then I can use the stylus just to hold this side down. Alright, so now we're ready to put the foot down, and let's tack down this clear vinyl. Here we go. Perfect. So now I can put my foot down again, stitch out the next stitch, which is the outline for the fabric that we're going to use as applique here in a second. So here we go. Okay, so now I want you to get your plastic pouch system or bag system that you've labeled potion bottle number 3. I want you to pull out not the smallest piece, which is this one, the second smallest piece, which in my case is this one right here, which is my pretty white glitter with silver on it. I love that fabric. Okay, so I still got these 3 pieces in my pouch system. I'm going to put that aside. Alright, you just want the one that you're going to be using for this label. And I'm going to put it down, making sure I cover all of the placement line on all sides. I'm going to put the foot down and we're going to tack down the fabric. You can tape it if you want, or just do like I do and just use your stylus just to keep it in place until it stitches it down. Just like that. Okay, that's good. Then I can have you take the hoop off the machine, and we're going to take the tape up because we don't need that anymore. Put that aside. Save it for later. I'm going to take that one off up too. And on the table. Alright, so now I want you to take the hoop off, take it over to the table, and I want you to trim away all of this excess fabric from around that stitch line. Don't trim the vinyl yet, just the fabric, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so now we're going to stitch the outline all the way around. It's going to be satin stitch outline, so I'm going to do that as well in black. Black thread on top, black bobbin down below. Let's put the foot down and stitch this. It's about a 3-minute in real life stitch out. Here we go. Okay, so now I want to take the hoop off the machine, and I'm going to switch my bobbin thread back to white because this next stitch I want to do in orange. So it's an extra step, but I don't want any black thread possibly coming up from below when I stitch out orange. So let me go ahead and pick an orange color thread, which I think this one is gonna look cool as my accent, which is just gonna be an accent stitch on top of that satin stitch that we just did. It's only a 1-minute stitch out, but it's just a light little accent. So you pick the color thread you would like to have on top of your satin stitches. Put that thread in the top of your machine. Gently reload the hoop, and we're ready to stitch this out. It also recommends putting your machine down half speed because this is going to be going through a lot of stitches as it goes. So let me show you how to do that on Baby Lock Destiny. Okay, so we're going to go to the page right up here, and there's several screens. So if you don't see your embroidery speed on the first screen, you can scroll through these until you see where it says max embroidery speed. And I'm at 600. I'm going to take it down to 350, which is my lowest speed, and I'm going to click OK. And it'll take you right back to where you were. And go back to the hoop count. Then when we're done, we'll take it back up to speed. The reason we're doing this again is because it's going to be stitching through a lot of satin stitches, so it's really thick. So we want the machine to move a little bit slower so it can go through there without any issues. All right, this is only a 1-minute stitch out. It's just a accent line around the outside on top of those satin stitches. So here we go. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go back to the page button, and I'm going to put my embroidery speed back up to where I was at 600. My machine can go all the way to 1050. I do not run it that fast when I do any type of machine embroidery. I run it around 600. My machine kind of finds that as the happy speed, where I have less thread breakage, less issues if I run it just a little slower. And it may take me a little bit longer to do a block, but if my machine is happy, that's all that matters, right? So I'm going to click OK and go back to the hoop cam. Happy machine, happy embroidery time, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the hoop back off and I'm going to swap my bobbin back out for a bobbin with black thread. I'm running a little low, but I think it might be just enough to get through this. We're going to chance it. If not, then I'll wind another bobbin. Not a problem. Okay, then I'm going to put my hoop gently back on, and then I'm going to swap my thread out in the top from orange to black, or whatever color you want your fresh spider cider to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put the color thread of my choice up above. You do the same. And just get rid of that loop, and we have a 5-minute stitch out. All right? Enjoy. Here we go. Okay, very cool. Alright, so now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, and I have a couple threads that I'd like to clean up on this first. One there, and I think there's, yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we're going to take this out of the hoop. Do that and put the hoop off to one side. Okay, so now I want you to trim the stabilizer and the vinyl on this inside stitch line, not the outside one. That was just a placement line on the stabilizer. You want to trim right on the placement line / trim line, which is the second line here, and that is going to be our cut line. See this? I'm going to go right on that line. And as you do that, it actually takes away the stitches too, for the most part. Unless you're like me and cut right outside of the line, which is fine. The main thing is you want to cut on that line so that you will have plenty of vinyl to be able to put it down on the next step in this process, which is going to be hoop number 2, where we're actually going to build the block. Okay, so again, cut on that line and go around all 4 sides. Doesn't have to be beautiful, just has to be cut. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. Now you are left with the clear vinyl on top and the stabilizer on the back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just lift up the stabilizer, make sure it's free on all sides. Now what I want you to do is to trim away this excess stabilizer, but do not get too close where you're going to nick those stitches. So just leave like safely a 1/4 inch, and you only want to cut the stabilizer. Do not cut the vinyl. You're just trying to free up some of the stabilizer so you don't have to dissolve all of it. Okay, you're cutting away some of the excess, save you some work in the long run. But again, only the stabilizer. Do not cut the vinyl, only cut the stabilizer. Okay, just leave about a 1/4 inch all the way around. All the way around. the spider. There we go. Okay, so that's what we've got. Okay, don't worry about the threads. We'll trim that later after we get this all done. What I want you to do now is just like we did in the last two videos. Go to the sink and get a wet paper towel and a dry one as well, and then get a paper plate or a paper bowl so you have something to work on. So I want you to put this on a paper plate, then put the paper towel down for 20 seconds, and I want you to dissolve all of this stabilizer, including on the back of this. It's going to get a little gooey and a little gunky. That's okay, just use a paper towel. It'll dissolve probably within about 20 seconds or so. Each water soluble stabilizer is a little bit different. This one I believe is Kimberbell's, and it dissolves in about 20 seconds. And then you'll have some cleanup to do afterwards. Then once you've got all the sticky, gooky, and smudges off, then I kind of take a soft towel and I just try to clean up the rest of the vinyl so it looks pretty, all right? Because there's going to be smudges and stuff that are created when you dissolve this. All right, meet you right back here. We're back at the machine, and I have a bobbin with white thread down below. I am pulling out my plastic pouch system that says Potion Bottle number 3, and I'm going to pull all of the fabric out of that. This is going to be for the cap, so I'm going to put this aside for later. This is going to be for the bottle background. I'm going to put that aside as well. And this is going to be my background. So right now I want to put a thread in the top of my machine that will match my background. Okay, so mine is a damask with an ivory. I'm going to put ivory thread up above, and I'm going to do all of my stitches up to and including the quilting in this ivory thread. So pick a thread that you want to blend in with your fabric, or stand out if you have a solid that you want to use all the way through to your quilting design, and put that thread in the top of your machine. Okay, up and down and in. I'm going to put this fabric now to the side. Load my thread. Okay, that works. Now I have my 5 by 7 inch hoop reloaded with a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer. And now let's go to the screen cam and load the design. Okay, so I'm going to click on Embroidery. I'm going to go to my flash drive, go to Pumpkins and Potions, and I want to go to the quilting designs first. It's thinking, here we go. Let's go to quilting designs. You can pick out any design you like. I will stick with Kimberbell's recommendation, which is the cauldron. And I'm looking for the 4 by 6 inch design. Here we go. That looks good. I'm going to click Set. I'm going to add, go to my flash drive, go back to Pumpkins and Potions, and now I'm looking for the 3rd potion bottle, which is this one right here, that has an orange satin stitch around the outside edge. And I'm going to click Set. I don't have to do anything. It's perfectly centered, and I'm going to click Embroidery. Cool. Let's go back to the hoop cam. Okay, so I've got my ivory thread up on top. Get my little loop out here. Okay, and now I'm ready to put my foot down and stitch out the first stitch, which is the placement line for the batting. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put the batting down, making sure that I cover all of that placement line. Put the foot down, and let's tack down the batting. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and go to a table, and I want you to trim away all of the excess batting from all 4 sides of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, now I'm going to put the foot down and we're going to stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to put my fabric down. If you have directional fabric, pick which direction you like, and you want the top up here and the bottom down here. And then I'm just going to feel for the batting, and that will give me a good idea as to where my fabric is placed. Plenty of room, we're good. Put the foot down and let's tack down the fabric. Still using the same thread up above. Okay, that looks great. I'm going to keep my ivory thread in the top of my machine because that's the color I want my quilting to be. You make sure you've got your color thread of choice up above for your quilting, and let's stitch this out. It's a 2-minute approximate stitch out in real life. Here we go. Very nice and subtle. Okay, so now I'm going to switch my thread that's in the top of my machine to an orange because my fabric that's coming up in the next couple stitches here is going to be applique in orange. So I picked an orange thread that will look nice with that. I'm going to put that up on top. You do the same. What is the color of your background fabric on your potion bottle? Is it orange? Is it black? Is it purple? Whatever color it may be, put that matching thread in the top of your machine. Okay, and we are ready to stitch out the placement line for the bottle. Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to place our fabric to the background of the bottle down, making sure that we cover all of that placement line. Put the foot down and let's tack down this fabric. Okay, now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and I want you to go to a table and I want you to trim away the excess of this fabric all the way around the outside of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, that looks good. It's all trimmed up. Now I'm going to leave the orange thread up on top because I want it to do the satin stitch outline around the whole bottle in orange. Make sure you have a color thread up on top that you want to do your satin stitching in. And let's put the foot down and stitch this out. It's a 5-minute in real life stitch out. Enjoy. Very nice. Love that. Okay, so now I took my top of the bottle that we worked on earlier and I turned it over on the back side and I trimmed the tall grass and any threads that were near the edge that could potentially stick out from that stitch line. There were several on the spider that I had to trim. In fact, I see one more that I need to trim. There we go. So basically when you look at on this side, you don't see any stray threads going on that side, okay? I think we're good. All right, and then I just, with a soft cloth, I just kind of buff out any of the scuff marks that have accumulated on that block. All right, okay, so now I want to put black thread up in the top of my machine. I don't need to switch out the bottom because we're not doing anything intense where it might pull. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave the white bobbin down below, and I'm going to put black thread up on top. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch the placement line for the vinyl. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hoop gently off the machine, and I'm going to take our Spider Cider top label of our bottle, and I'm going to position it so it's just inside those lines. Okay, and then I'm going to take a piece of embroidery tape, and I'm going to tape the top down. Then I want to look at it and I say, you know what? Even though it's in those lines, this one's a little bit closer to the satin stitch than this one is. So I'm going to lift it back up, still keep it pretty much in those lines, but now I want to center it so the position is nicer on the bottle. So it's just touching the satin stitches on both sides. So arrange yours how you like it, but just make sure you try to keep the vinyl pretty much inside those lines and just move it a little bit to where you're happy. How about that? That looks good. And then I can take two smaller pieces and tack down the side. Okay. There we go. So it's going to do a accent, and in my case, black thread stitch around the outside, which Kimberbell has, which I think will look nice on top of the orange, and it'll coordinate with the black of the label. Okay, so let's put the foot down, and let's stitch this tack down line. Here we go. All right, now the fun part. Okay, so we're going to take the tape off, set it off to one side. There we go. And the most important one, the top. Okay, so now we're going to get the confetti. Ooh, it's spiders. That is in your embellishment kits. And we're going to take those out, put the crystals back so we don't lose those. And now I'm going to insert 2 straws into this bottle that will help aid us in giving us a little bit of room to be able to get that confetti in. And I highly recommend a straw over a pencil or a pen, because those are really hard plastic and they don't give, and they might give you a permanent stretch out of the vinyl. This straw is flexible and will actually smoosh itself down here at the bottom, so it's not going to permanently stretch anything out. So that's what I do. I'm going to open this confetti. I've got some that's going to be on the lip when I open it. Ooh, those spiders, just remember they're not real. Okay, so now I want to cut off this top lid without killing that spider there. Let him out. I want to cut off this top lid because this has sticky on it. See how that spider is stuck to it? If you're trying to empty this out and that flap is closing down, it's going to cause you issues and get stuck everywhere. So, all right. Now I'm going to basically lift the vinyl up, and I'm just going to try to place the spiders between the 2 straws. All right. Doesn't have to be pretty. And I don't have to place all of them at this moment. I'm just going to place that many. And then I'm going to use my stylus, and I'm just going to slowly push them in between the two straws. Take your time. Don't let the spiders get loose. Get over. Come on. Get back in there. Don't let them run away. And insert them into the potion bottle. Okay, we got a few outside. Not a problem. We're going to keep going. Lift up the hoop a little bit so gravity can help you push them in. Okay, now I'm going to insert some more in between. And let's just fast forward as I do this. My goal is to put all of these spiders in the potion bottle. All right, here we go. Alright, so that's all I'm going to use at this point, because I actually have more spiders than I can use. So I'm going to reuse this pack from the embellishment kit, and I'm going to gently put those in. One got loose. No! Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side and put that back in my embellishment kit. And see, those straws were really useful. Even for after it was filling up, I was able to use them to help insert the spiders all the way down at the bottom of the bottle. So the straws come in really, really handy. Okay, so I've got that down. Plus I have them about a ½ inch down of where we're going to tack this down. So now I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to position the tape back in place to help hold it down, because it has a little bit of a 3D effect now, and I don't want that to cause any issues with the tack down. Okay, so now with the same black thread up on top, it's going to continue on, and it's going to seal the top of the bottle. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, the spiders are locked in that bottle and are not coming out. Okay, so I'm taking the tape off. And now I want you to take the hoop over to a table, and I want you to trim away this excess vinyl from around the outside. Don't get too close because you don't want to nick those stitches. But this is raw edge applique, so there'll be no further stitching on top of it. So just make it a clean cut, but don't get too close. All right, I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so now we're going to still leave black thread up on top. I'm going to stitch out the placement line for the bottle cap. Okay, so now we're going to put that fabric for the bottle cap down, cover that placement line, and let's tack it down. Okay, now you're going to take the hoop off the machine, take it to a table, and I want you to trim away the excess fabric from around the outside of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so let's go ahead and use that same color thread that you have on top, and let's stitch out the last stitch, which is the decorative outline around the bottle cap. Here we go. right, the machine says there's one last stitch. There isn't. We don't stitch this last one. This is just a line from here to here, and then Kimberbell uses that to position the block so that it's perfectly centered where they want it to be. So do not stitch out that last line. You are done stitching. Isn't that cool? All right, so let's take this block over to the table and I'll show you how to finish it up. Okay, look at that block. Isn't that something? Even with the little spiders, but they're safe inside the bottle, so they can't come out. All right, so we got two things left to do on this block. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a seam ripper, and we are going to take out these black placement lines. These are the ones that the embroidery machine put down so that we could place the vinyl. We did them in black thread, so they're easy to see. The challenge is please don't nick any of those quilting stitches. So I'm going to use a seam ripper to get the stitches out that are not on the quilting stitches. That'll loosen that stitch up, and then I can come on the other side because I don't want to unravel my quilting. You might have to come on the back side and help get rid of the start and stop of the thread because those are a little bit of a challenge to get out. But we can do it. So let's take out those stitches and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, now that I've got all 4 of those placement lines out, now we're going to trim up the block. This block is going to measure 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches. I need to measure the outer stitch line, which is this white basting stitch that we use to tack down the fabric. I'm going to measure that, and from this stitch line to this stitch line, it's 6.5. From that one to that one, it's just shy of 4.5. So we are good to use those lines as our guide. Okay, so I'm going to put the ruler down. You're going to have a little bit of a bump as we go around because of the 3D effect of the potion bottle. So I'm going to line up a line on this outer stitch line, and then I'm going to go toward the stitch line up here, put my ruler on it, and then go just a hair past it. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. I can safely make my first cut. Now I'm going to come over here, and my mat goes from 24 down to 1 because I've worn that side out. Now I'm trying to wear this side out. So that's why my numbers are going to go in reverse. I'm going to put the block on 17 and I'm going to go down to 11.5. I'm going to use my ruler line, put that on the outer stitch line, then I'm going to line up the ruler on my mat to 11.5, move it over a little bit, and you see I've got that ridge because of the bottle. So I'm going to put my weight on the right hand side to keep the ruler flat with the surface. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. So I'm safe to make that cut. Okay, so those two sides are good. And do the same thing for this side. I'm going to line up my ruler on the bottom here because this side is straight. Then I'm going to go to that stitch line. Can I see that stitch line? I can. It's not exactly straight. So I'm going to go to there where there's a little bit of the stitch line shows up here and a little bit is right underneath that ruler. Make that side straight. Any difference there will be hidden in the seam allowance, so we will be good there. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line up my ruler on this bottom edge. I'm now on 15. I'm going to go to 11.5 on the ruler. Put my weight down on the right side of the ruler. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, it's showing a little bit out here and it's under the ruler on this side, so we're still good. I can make that cut. Okay, any differences in this where it's showing those stitches will be in the seam allowance, so you don't have to worry about it at all. But now you have a squared block that is 4.5 by 6.5 inches. Isn't that cool? Even with the spiders. Okay, so we are all done with this block. I hope you had as much fun today making this as I did, and I hope you stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun and more adorable blocks in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye bye.